Mosaic is brought to you by these generous sponsors and underwriters. Learn how you can support Mosaic by visiting jewishpalmbeach.org. Good morning. I'm Barbara Kay, here with Susan Pertnoy, and welcome to Mosaic, Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's weekly news magazine show. Mosaic explores Jewish topics here in the Palm Beaches and around the world.
La La Land, Wicked, Bridge of Spies, Legally Blonde, Grease Live. You know all the modern day classics from award-winning producer Marc Platt.
But it's Marc's unique connection to the Jewish community that's truly something to admire.
We'll be back with a special interview with producer Marc Platt right after this.
If it wasn't for the financial assistance, I couldn't come here.
Every little bit helps. She says, I get stronger every day.
When you have a child and you want the absolute best for them, it's twice as important to make the community strong.
Please consider supporting Mosaic's generous sponsors at Bruce Gendelman Insurance Services. Visit gendelman.com today for your expert consultation.
The all-new Bremen Porsche, a world-class experience.
Club Bremen is amazing.
World-class dedication.
It's the most exciting thing. I recommend it to anybody. I don't care what your skill level is.
World-class excitement.
I think it's a great brand. These cars are designed to go this fast.
World-class performance.
They took me out to the track to race the car. Anyone that wants to get a Porsche, Bremen's the place to go.
The all-new Bremen Porsche, a world-class experience.
Interested in a different kind of Israel travel experience? Join dozens of local community members for a personalized journey through Israel during the country's 70th year of independence. Israel Your Way is Jewish Federation Community Mission to Israel in June 2018. 5 immersive tracks will explore Israel's technology and innovation, arts and culture and cuisine, spirituality and religion, politics and security, and even a track for first-timers and families. Learn more and sign up while there's still space at israelyourway.org.
The tower at Morse Life has standards so high, we had to invent them. Call home a luxury rental community with a full continuum of unmatched high-quality care at your doorstep and a rich, fulfilling lifestyle catered for you. Enjoy every day with a full menu of activities and 5-star services. Elevate your thinking about how you deserve to live now and all the beautiful extras that are yours at the Live-In Tower at Morse Life. It just feels like home. Secure your lease today.
We're here with Marc Platt, award-winning TV, film, and theater producer, not to mention a Jewish philanthropist as well. Marc, start with your background. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I grew up in Baltimore. I went to the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. I got my law degree from NYU University. Spent my first early years professionally in New York City as an entertainment attorney. And then my wife, Julie, and I moved out to Los Angeles some 30-some years ago, and I became a film executive at a company called Orion Pictures, where I became eventually president of production of Orion. And from there, I moved to TriStar Pictures as president, and then finally Universal Pictures, where I was president. And then about 20-some years ago, I formed my own company, my own production company in Los Angeles, and I've been producing ever since. I raised my 5 children in Los Angeles, all of whom are grown, at the moment, and now my 3 grandsons live in LA as well.
Oh, wow.
Indeed.
That's some big family.
That's big family and great family.
Growing up, did you have a Jewish identity?
I did for sure. I went to Hebrew school. I went to public school actually in the suburbs of Baltimore in Pikesville, Maryland. And although it was a public school, it was in many ways like going to a Jewish day school. I just didn't know it at the time. Went to Hebrew school. My mom and dad were very involved in the synagogue, and in Baltimore, the Federation, which is called the Associated Jewish Charities of Baltimore. So I grew up in a home that was very Jewish-based, certainly Jewish valued-based, and we celebrated holidays, and we learned, my older brother and my sister and I learned from our parents the meaning of tikkun olam, the need to rebuild the world, to make it better. And my mom and dad instilled in each of us a very fervent and strong passion for repairing the world. And so being part of the Federation, being part of various Jewish communities in Los Angeles, internationally, nationally, is very second nature and very much who I am and who my wife is as well.
I read somewhere that you told a story about your mother taking you and your siblings to a park, and there was a sign. She specifically took you to see this sign that said, "No dogs, Jews, or Negroes allowed." Tell us about that.
So I grew up in Baltimore, which in the 60s was a very southern kind of town. And there was an amusement park there, which actually was fictionalized in the John Waters film Hairspray. And my mom took my brother and I was very young, maybe 4 or 5 there, and I thought we were going to have a good time, but she really wanted to show us a sign, a handwritten sign that hung on the fence that said Jews and a very derogatory word for African Americans and dogs not allowed. And it was clear that my mom was trying to show us that this was a segregated park, that there were people, because of either their religion or the color of their skin, were not allowed in. And I think that's part of her way of demonstrating to us the need to change and improve and repair the world. And it's an impression that has lasted with me my entire life.
I would imagine so. I actually had a very similar experience growing up in Palm Beach.
Wow.
But so that's remained at the forefront of my brain in what I do and why I do it. How about college? When you were at Penn, were you involved in Hillel or any Jewish causes?
Not only was I involved in Hillel, I got engaged at Hillel to Julie Barron, now Julie Platt. And Julie, who grew up in Wichita, Kansas, from again, a very Jewish-centric family, very Federation-based family. She was actually, as I recall, the head of the college campaign at the University of Pennsylvania for the Federation. So we did that. We were actually soliciting as 18-year-olds.
Wow. Wow.
Back in college. So we did have we had a multifaceted life at Penn. It's a wonderful place, but the Jewish component was certainly integral to our lives.
What inspired you to get into the entertainment business?
I've always enjoyed stories and found myself very naturally being a storyteller. And I've spent most of my career being someone who tells stories or facilitates environments for other people to tell their stories. And it's a lifelong dream I had, and I worked very hard, was very fortunate to follow a path that's been very satisfying to me, very exciting to me, and allows me to sort of exercise the creative muscles that I have that are important to me. And so I never veered from the thought that that's what I wanted to do.
Well, and you had many opportunities in college also. Didn't you produce some plays?
I did. At the University of Pennsylvania, much of the student performing arts was student run. And so all throughout college, I directed and produced plays, which interestingly enough is a great learning environment because I study hard in the classroom of the day, but at night I was producing shows, and the problems that one was confronted with and the problem solving is very similar to what I do today, on a different scale perhaps, but not altogether dissimilar. So it was a great education.
Well, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to be right back with Marc Platt after this brief message. Coming up, more from our interview with award-winning producer Marc Platt.
Please consider supporting Mosaic sponsors at Lesser Landy & Smith. Visit lesserlawfirm.com to learn more.
Celebrate Israel's remarkable 70 years at Jewish Federation's community-wide celebration. Enjoy a live performance by Israel's award-winning Israel Story podcast, featuring powerful storytelling, music, and multimedia magic. It's happening Thursday, April 26th at the Harriet Himmel Theater in West Palm Beach. Learn more and register now at jewishpalmbeach.org/Israel70.
Our lives are made of memories, but when those memories start to fade, your happiness shouldn't follow. At Morse Life's Memory Care Residences, your loved one is safe and secure with the very best care from our staff who are specially trained to work with memory loss. The greatest luxury of all is the peace of mind that awaits at the gold standard Memory Care Residences at Morse Life. Find the life you love again. Secure your lease today. The Memory Care Residences at Morse Life.
We're back chatting with Marc Platt. Your wife, Julie Barron Platt, is the chairwoman for the Greater Los Angeles Jewish Federation. Your father-in-law is a very big philanthropist in our local community. And where did all of this come from?
Well, I think my father-in-law was raised in a home where the obligation to stand up and advocate for and give to Jewish causes, Jewish education, Jewish institutions was something instilled to him, and he instilled it to his 4 children, all of whom are very involved in many Jewish causes, particularly the Federation, and so no less so than Julie, of course. Ever since I met Julie, her passion, among other things, including being a mom, which she's great at, was always to be a leader in the Jewish community. So her ascent into many different leadership positions is a very natural evolution for her, and a very much an inspiring one.
Well, it must have inspired you because you were both recently co-chairs of the General Assembly for Jewish Federations.
Indeed. So Julie is currently the chairperson of the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles. I think maybe only the second or third woman in its well over 100-year history to have that function, and it's usually 2 years, and she's been extended to do another 2. She's graciously agreed to do so. And we did chair the GA in November, the General Assembly, where we had folks from all over North America, which was very exciting. Must give much credit to Julie, who really organized and was in charge of everything. She just winds me up and tells me where to be and where to go. But she is, in fact, and indeed, my role model, and a role model to my children, both in terms of the kind of person that she is, loving and caring, good throughout her soul, but also a strong sense of obligation and responsibility to the Jewish community. And she's someone who puts not just dollars and cents on the page, but actions behind her dollars and cents and actions behind her words. And it's easy to want to and to try to follow in her footsteps.
How is the Jewish entertainment community in Hollywood in terms of their philanthropic endeavors?
It's not nearly what it should be. That requires a rather longer elaboration to the thoughts as to why, perhaps. There are, of course, those who do participate, but the entertainment business has always been sort of disproportionately, significantly filled with Jewish executives and Jewish performers and agents and managers, and all the individuals that comprise an industry have always attracted a large number of Jews. And yet the participation in the community, particularly in sort of social causes like the Federation, has always been challenged. a challenge for all of us. We've tried for years and we've made great inroads and much advancement, but it's still not what it should be.
Your wife, Julie, credits your family's connection to Jewish life as the key to keeping your kids grounded in a place like Hollywood. How has your Judaism been vital in how you've raised your family?
Well, I think that in addition to what religious beliefs we have, the core Jewish values that Julie and I possess and that we try and instill in our kids is really the DNA of who we are. So that translates into how we treat people, what our perspective and priorities are in life. And I think our children watched that. They watched their mom and dad leave home when they were tired or had to work to go to a Federation event because it was important. They knew that we were home every Friday night, that we didn't go to the premiere or to the party. We were home with the kids every Friday night for Shabbat dinner. And we had a strong sense of community in our home. It was always and is always open to the Jewish community. So I think when children grow up in that environment, it seeps into them and it becomes who they are very naturally.
Definitely. Two of your sons are Broadway stars. One of them, Ben, has won several accolades in the starring role on Broadway, the smash hit Dear Evan Hansen. What influence did Jewish camp have on your son's journey into the entertainment business?
Well, I think Jewish camp, which we're a big proponent of. In fact, Julie is the chairperson of the Jewish camping, I forget the name, but...
Ramah.
No, she's been chairman of Camp Ramah, but there's the Jewish Camping Foundation of North America, which is all the Jewish camps. She's just become the chairperson of that. So we believe in Jewish camping. It is a way for kids to grow up in an environment that's free from their parents, where they're living their Jewishness moment to moment. And I think that informs who they are as people. When you're a performer, much of who you are is an ingredient in the characters you create. It's no different from my son Ben or my son Jonah. When they're performing, there are pieces of themselves and their characters. And I think who they are was very much defined by all their years, and they both spent many years at Camp Ramah. Not to mention, of course, all the music that they would enjoy there and performing they would enjoy there, but really who they are as people, which does translates into who they are as performers and actors.
Do you all come from a musical background? You've got a lot of...
We all sing.
You all sing.
We all sing. The great secret is, in Los Angeles, we're known as the Von Platts, because we have been known, all seven of us, my 5 kids and my wife and I, to sing at weddings and bar mitzvahs, et cetera, et cetera. So we're very expensive, though, so no, we're not. So we do sing and we enjoy it, and then 2 of my children have chosen to go into that professionally.
We're going to take our final break. We'll be back with the rest of our interview after this brief message. Coming up, more from our interview with award-winning producer Marc Platt.
If it wasn't for the financial assistance, I couldn't come here.
Every little bit helps. She says, I get stronger every day.
When you have a child and you want the absolute best for them, it's twice as important to make the community strong.
Live the way you want to live in the luxury you deserve. At Morse Life's Tradition, choose a floor plan that suits your lifestyle and make it your own. Impeccable service and the gold standard in specialized signature healthcare. Live healthy. Live happy. At Tradition is where the living is easy, every day and in every way. Your home. Morse Life. Tradition.
Interested in a different kind of Israel travel experience? Join dozens of local community members for a personalized journey through Israel during the country's 70th year of independence. Israel Your Way is Jewish Federation Community Mission to Israel in June 2018. 5 immersive tracks will explore Israel's technology and innovation, arts and culture and cuisine, spirituality and religion, politics and security, and even a track for first-timers and families. Learn more and sign up while there's still space at israelyourway.org. We're back with Marc Platt, and we're going to talk about some of these films that you've produced, starting with your hit film in 2015, Bridge of Spies, mostly set in Germany during the Cold War. What was it like working with Steven Spielberg as the director?
Steven's someone I've known and worked with for many years. This was my first experience as a producer. And there's nothing like it. His talent is prodigious. But more than that, he's a consummate filmmaker, as we all know. He's the greatest filmmaker of the last century. But he still retains a passion for what he does, and as do I. And he finds great joy in the work that he does, as do I. So to be side by side with a director, any director, particularly one of that stature, that success, who comes to work first one on the set every day, who's so totally prepared and so excited every time there's a good take or a good performance and cares about every detail, is nothing short of a joyful experience. I loved every minute. We had a wonderful time. It's wonderful.
Do you have any other collaborative films that you're doing?
Steven, in addition to being a director, is the chairman of DreamWorks Studio. So I have a very strong relationship with DreamWorks and have many projects that I produce for DreamWorks. I made a movie 2 years ago called The Girl on the Train with Emily Blunt. That was a DreamWorks movie. So even though Steven's not the director, we're collaborating because he's the head of the studio.
You've worked on several films that focus on complex and critical moments throughout history. Obviously, Bridge of Spies, The Path to 9/11, and Philadelphia come to mind. Why is it important for you to tell these stories in your films?
Well, I think it goes a little bit back to the story we're talking about, the amusement park, and being a little kid, and understanding that in some ways I was different from others. I think Jews understand the feeling of being an outsider. We are strangers in a strange land. We tell that on Passover, which is coming up. And so I think I'm attracted to stories about outsiders and those who not only want to feel included, but those who facilitate that inclusion, those who repair the world. It's very much who I am and who I was as a kid, and the DNA of me is part of how I decide what stories to tell. So Philadelphia was a story in the time it was told, which was the early 90s. That was a story not being told and needed to be.
Absolutely.
And the success of that film is a great example of the power of film, not just to entertain, but to unify and to open people's minds and hearts where they might not otherwise be. Path 9/11, similarly, although I thought that was an important part of our history to learn, both the heroism of the many individuals, not just first responders, but many other individuals who before the day were on the track and on the look for the kind of terrorist attack that eventually occurred. And Bridge of Spies is a film where was a footnote I read in a history book, but I was about a lawyer who defended a Russian spy, and then I dug deeper and thought, well, here's a really righteous man. I identify with that. It's what we as Jews aspire to be.
It's also very current right now.
And is very current too in the sort of political world. So I think it's all related, and that's brings me back to being a storyteller, which was really your first question, which is why are you in the entertainment business? And I think that, you know, as Jews, we have always been great storytellers, and in fact, much of our culture and religion is based on a great story, which is the Bible, and that's literally what I do for a living, and I don't know how to separate them from each other. They're each part of who I am.
You're very fortunate to follow your passion because you seem very passionate about what you do.
Indeed.
You've produced films of all types, TVs, musicals, plays, and ballet. Is there any central element that connects your broad array of work?
Well, I like that I get to tell different kinds of stories in different kinds of genres, ranging from action to the musical. I have a particular affinity for musicals. I was raised in a very musical home. My parents took me to the theater often, and so a lot of my films and obviously my musicals are very music-centric. Even though they're not specifically musicals, music's always a character. But I particularly enjoy the musical genre, such as La La Land and Into the Woods and Wicked on Broadway and Grease Live on television, and my film coming up next Christmas called Mary Poppins Returns, which is fantastic, with Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel. But I do think that what ties them all together is what I said earlier. There's always a character that's a little bit outside, that's a little bit not whole, not complete, and looking to be made so, or looking to overcome on behalf of somebody else a particular challenge. And I think that's probably the unifying thread. You certainly find it in something like Wicked and Philadelphia and almost all of my work.
Can you give us your favorite piece of work?
You know, it's what I always say is it's like being a parent. You love all of your children very much, and the way I measure, I'm very, very much a perfectionist. The way I try to measure success is really about the journey. If I had a good time and it was a good collaborative process and people work really hard, I consider it success. I would say, though, that the most memorable experience for me is the film Philadelphia, because it did work. It did change a point of view around the globe, and it literally it put a face on a disease that didn't have one, and it brought a whole group of people, particularly in places like Asia, out of the closet who were afraid to do so. So I think that stands really tall among my accomplishments. It was directed by my dear friend and recently passed colleague Jonathan Demme. We did Silence of the Lambs together. We did Rachel Getting Married together with Anne Hathaway. We did Ricky and the Flash with Meryl Streep. But Philadelphia was a special one. I've had a long collaboration with Tom Hanks and with Denzel Washington. We've all made lots of films together. They were both in that movie. So I love making Wicked. I love doing La La Land. I love all the films, but in terms of what I'm the most proud of, I would say Philadelphia.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. We've run out of time. It's been a pleasure.
It's my great pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Mosaic is brought to you by these generous sponsors and underwriters: